Hey everybody, welcome to our Ohio News wrap-up show for the week. I'm Chris Pugh, got Guy Vogrin with me. How are you today, Guy?
Oh, not too bad. I'm getting ready to go on vacation, so it was, at the
Nice.
office, and the prosecutors were kind of wrapping up and trying to get the office set up for next week, which uh, there's a pretty light court docket, so it's a good week to take off.
I've got, well, as you know, I've got a new main gig. Still working with
Right.
Mahoney. My main gig, I'm off at 12:30 on Fridays.
Oh,
It's
that's got
nice.
to be sweet. Yeah.
It's nice, and I'm always up for getting emails from media and other people, but boss is like, "Hey, you're done. It's 12:30." I'm like, whoa, this is
Right.
great, fantastic. So gives me more time to podcast. So I'm looking forward to that. A couple things we could talk about quick. We got a little limited time this week, but Pete Rose died. Um,
Ohio icon, as you
yeah,
know. Yeah. I became a baseball fan in the middle '60s, and Pete Rose broke into the major leagues as a Cincinnati Reds second baseman. I remember getting his baseball card in 1965. So that's how long I go back with Pete. And he being an Indians fan, the Reds were always kind of like rivals, and it cropped up again this week with Tito Francono getting the Reds managing job.
yeah, that was
Kind
bad.
of stirred a little bit into the Guardians. Some Guardians fans were upset about him upstaging uh, the Guardians playoff games tomorrow. But I'm happy for Tito and sad for the tragic story of Pete Rose at the same time this week. A lot of mixed feelings uh, with the news from Ohio sports this week.
Real quick on the Tito Francona thing,
Uh huh.
and and yeah, we're not going to bring up. And again, we're
And
both
for those
fine
that
with
don't know, Tito was named the manager of
right.
the Cincinnati Reds today, this Friday. Today, got a 3-year contract. Less than a year after he hung up, and because of health reasons for the Guardians.
I get it. If you're a Guardians fan, you might be a little disappointed today. But look at Guy, your last job move and my last job move.
Right. These
Somebody
things
came
happen
and
up.
said, yes,
Opportunity knocks, and you have to take it.
somebody said, hey, we'll give you X amount of dollars and we'll, here's the situation. Does it sound like a good opportunity? And we say yes. And I'll be honest with you, and you and I have talked about my deal, and you've talked to me about your deal. Yeah, it's never a great time. Yeah, somebody's going to be scratching their head like, oh, why did it happen this time? But if you get a good opportunity and you get the money that makes sense, you go for it. So
Right.
I'm sure Francona, it happened at a certain time, and Francona said, sure. I don't think he was timing it going, ooh, the Guardians are in the playoffs. Let me make my move
Yeah,
now.
right. This all just happened,
Yeah.
and I'm sure they had just fired David Bell
Yeah.
the last week of the season, so the job just came open last Tuesday, a week from Tuesday.
It's happened recently in my life and Guy's life, and I'm sure if you're out there listening, it's probably happened to you either soon, uh, currently, or maybe recently in the past. It just happens. It's fine. But in terms of Pete Rose,
Yeah, a past manager of the Reds who lost his
yes,
job under really
yes.
extenuating circumstances. For those of you who don't know the Pete Rose story,
Well, I'm uh, not as big of a baseball guy as I used to be, but 80s, 90s were my zenith for my baseball interest.
right?
Pete Rose was definitely the guy back then, and
Oh, he was for
oh,
two
and
decades was the guy. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and like it goes back to '63 when he started his career. So many stats. Let's tell Mike about this. The hits, the fact that he was like an all-star at 4 or 5 different positions.
right.
I mean, there's stuff that you'll never
Won
see.
three, helped teams win 3 world championships, 2 different teams.
And for us, middle-aged, older, pudgy white guys that aren't super athletic, he was our icon because
Because he
Pete
was
Rose.
Charlie Hustle. We lived up where our dads wanted us to work hard, and he was the perfect role model. He would run to first base on a walk.
Well, and he never was a chiseled Adonis. And
No,
look at it. If you're watching this on video, look at us. We're not neither
right.
one of us the chisel Adonis either.
He
So
wasn't fast.
yeah, he was that. He was our body type. He'd be like
Right.
I would sit there and think, man, if I made another choice or not in my life, I could have been a baseball star looking like this. See, Pete Rose did that first. And who knows? Maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe, Pete Rose doing that was like, no, you have to be somewhat athletic. But he wasn't a super athletic guy, but he played well. The sad thing with Pete Rose is, and as we all know, there's the dark chapter of Pete Rose with the
Right.
gambling
He
and
had a habit of gambling, and it didn't start overnight. From the stories I've been hearing this week of his, co teammates, that he always liked to gamble.
well, here's where I'm okay. He broke a rule at that time,
A cardinal rule, yes.
understandably. And, but right now it's changed a lot. And yeah, I guess you could say, well, maybe he should have been in the Hall of Fame because he broke the cardinal rule at that time. But, guy, I'm starting to get frustrated with the Hall of Fame. I was thinking about going to Pro Football Hall of Fame on Saturday. It's $43 a ticket now. So maybe I'm
Right.
grumpy because it costs so darn much to go to Hall of Fame. But
Right.
let's be honest. OJ Simpson,
Has the bust in there, yes.
right. And OJ Simpson, depending on how way you feel about the California justice system, did he kill somebody or not? Who knows? We'll never
Many
know.
people thought he got away with murder,
Right,
although he
right.
he didn't in the civil court system.
And yeah, he didn't do that on the football field. Yeah, I guess when he did that, he was a retired football player. But how do we know what's ethically right or wrong? And yeah, I know football's a different sport, but with baseball, we have an era in the 90s and in the 2000s of a bunch of guys that aren't in the Hall of Fame now because of the steroid era, or what they
Correct.
call it. And baseball has never come out and said, hey, these steroid guys will probably never get in. But you've got the leading home run hitting champion of all time, Barry Bonds, is not in the Hall of Fame. And again, I'm not saying
And he didn't cheat.
right.
He
Yeah,
all it was never proved he bet against his team to lose. The,
right.
the, the guy was always a winner.
So I'm looking at this and I'm sitting here like, how do you know who makes the Hall of Fame or not? And again, it's fine. And Trump made a tweet where he was like, "Well, you should get in the Hall of Fame now before the funeral." Well, unfortunately, he's dead. Yeah, maybe it will help his friends, maybe it'll help his family cope. But sadly, we're waiting too long to put him in the Hall of Fame or not.
Right. The
I,
time has passed. They needed to do it when he was still alive because it meant the most to Pete. Of course, we're hearing also the stories that they gave him a chance if he would just admit that he gambled, and he wouldn't. So the pride was a little bit in there. But that was in the 90s when I heard that he was given the opportunity and denied it, you know, uh, turned it down. So he would have to live with that, and maybe he did make peace with it because he did have that chance, and in his mind he probably thought he didn't do anything wrong, especially when you look at the hypocritical parts. You have um, sports writers now being sanctimonious, saying under no circumstances this guy broke a rule and he wasn't, and then yet they're gambling on the sports they cover. They talk
yeah,
about their FanDuel apps, and liberally, and also baseball. When they needed Pete to promo, they let him come to games and uh, promote the sport. He was at the Cincinnati Reds games and was, on various promotions, with MasterCard in the 90s, among the greatest players of the franchise when I believe Cincinnati hosted an all-star game. They invited Pete, but then they disinvite him when it comes to going into the Hall of Fame.
yeah. And again, I'm not pro Pete Rose necessarily. I'm not pro gambling.
No,
I
I'm just praying for doing the
yeah.
right thing, and forgiveness, for one. Forgiveness is divine. So this
Well,
would have been the ultimate act. At
if
least,
we're
when he was getting into his 80s. Come on, give the old man some glory.
and if we're getting into a morality clause for these guys, then let's really start valuing everybody.
Right.
Like Ty Cobb, as far as I know, he never committed a crime. But
Right.
man, I've heard stories about Ty Cobb where you're almost like, oh, maybe we
Right.
should start Ty
Right.
Cobb.
He was
What
a
do you do?
racist. And it was, Pete Rose was not a racist. As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
the last picture you see of him alive, he's with his teammates, and let's see, I think two of them were black and two of them were Hispanic.
Well, and I guess what I'm thinking is if you're putting a morality clause in, make it the same for everybody.
Right.
And again, and we're quickly getting into very odd, off-center topics, but are we canceling people for stuff they've done in the past too? You know what I mean?
Right.
So if we really get
We
into this, are we
can't
going to
forget
say,
an act
"Oh,
from 30 years ago, 40 years. It's going on 40 now.
right"? And if you really get into that, okay, you're researching past guys, but now you're canceling people for things that guys did, 100 years ago or whatever. It's just be consistent before you have. You either sit there and say, "Hey, we're going to evaluate you morally before you get in the Hall of Fame," or we just sit there and say, "Look, all these guys have had checkered past and
Yeah,
checkered lives.
I say let them
On the
all
field,
in.
they really did well." Yeah, yeah.
I'd say let them out. Let Shoeless Joe in. Let Pete in. Let it do it all in one time and have it Grace Day at
Well,
Cooperstown.
and here's the other thing, and we've talked about this: the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Yeah, they're recognizing the achievements of people, but it's all a marketing thing too. If we're
Oh
talking
yeah,
about the Hall of
definitely.
Fame, that's
Money
big.
is
Yeah.
involved.
I mean, can you imagine how much discussion would be if they let Pete and Shoeless Joe Jackson? Oh, it'd be enough for the marketing wise. People be
Right.
like, "Oh, I want to
Right.
go and check
And
this
and they're
out."
going to do it out of that reason instead of the right thing,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
the love of money is the root of all evil, and these guys are we know where their bread is buttered.
Oh, guy, you're making me laugh. I'll tell you, if we were doing this on our Mahoney Marriage site, I would be having a heart attack right now. Now I'm
Right,
laughing, going, "This
but
is
we
great."
can, and that's why,
Yes.
one of the reasons I'm not in the business anymore, journalism.
Yeah, and just a further reminder, you might be sitting here going, "Why are they on this site, Sub Mahoney Matters?" I am still affiliated with Mahoney Matters. I'm a consultant. I'm looking forward to returning, hopefully in January as a freelancer. Um, just, I was Tito Francona got a really good opportunity,
Right.
and the finances were right and the opportunity was right. But the great thing
And
about
he can, turn around a team that's been
yes,
struggling with a lot of talent, and
yes.
that's going to be interesting to see what the Reds do next year.
Same the thing with me. Well, I'm not turning around. I'm helping a organization that's still going well. See, you're going to get me in trouble with my new
I'm
organization.
sorry.
Come on, guy.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm putting words in your mouth again.
Okay, I'm not.
I was always at the Tribune newsroom accused of pushing buttons.
Well, I'll put it this way. I'm like Terry Franco, where I left suddenly, or I started to play suddenly, but we're all good. So that's why you're seeing us here on View from the Pew instead of Mahoney Matters.
So Trump
Couple.
wants Pete to go in.
Yes,
More
thank
power
you. I
to
was
him.
like, what were we talking about? Yeah, and yeah,
And
go for
somebody
it.
asked Camilla.
Yes, is this going to become a big campaign thing? Are we going
There
to
you
have
go.
like a debate about Hall of Fame people? I think, let me throw this out here because I kind of thought about this and made me chuckle. We need to have these guys on a lot more. I've seen Trump appear in different places. What was it? I saw a story saying, like, I guess Kamala Harris was going to be on 60 Minutes right
Right.
before the election, and they were trying to get Trump on, and Trump declined. I want to see these guys on more
Right.
shows beforehand.
Right. Right. Like we could see JD or Waltz in on The View,
Yeah, or
even though a
even,
lot of people don't like The View, but it's another avenue for them to be seen and talk frankly without any
or,
any restraints.
or let's have fun with some of these candidates. Like, could they appear on, I don't know, like Trump was on with Bryson DeChambeau's
Right.
golf YouTube channel. I
Hey, back
mean,
in the day, Bill Clinton played a sax on Arsenio
yeah.
Hall.
Can we have Trump sing on a talk show? Or Kamala play the sax or the guitar or something? I mean, to me, let's have more fun with these presidential
Right.
elections. And right
Let
now,
Trump be a guest judge on the Masked Singer.
yeah, I think
He,
we should have. It should be a requirement. Maybe we take like one day before the election and say, for every new show, we have to have Trump and Harris make a guest appearance. So
yes.
if it's like the Masked Singer, maybe they perform a song, maybe they're on the judges table. I would say if we're doing a new, I don't know what's a popular show out there right now, like
Oh
they're
well.
bringing back Matlock.
Right. Right. Matlock.
Okay, well, have Trump and Harris appear in an episode of Matlock. You know what I mean? I want
Right.
to see all these them take part in shows. It'll be more exciting. Right now, I get
And
real.
it'll pop up the ratings. And
Yeah.
have him come on Monday Night Football, or and chat with Joe Buck and who's Joe's
Oh,
uh,
Trankman, yeah.
Troy Aikman,
Or
right?
or is a
Or
Manning
have
cast.
Camilla do it. You
Oh, yeah.
know,
Or the Manning cast. Could you imagine? All right, the
right?
second
Oh
quarter, we're
yeah,
having Trump and
there you
Harris
go.
talk.
Have
You
the
know.
Manning cast. Have Trump and maybe Tim Waltz.
Well, I am pitching this idea. And again, the joys of independent media, we can repitch again. Maybe this will happen. We know Mike DeWine's, uh, public relations person. He's actually come on the show a couple times, and it's
Right.
been fun talking to him. And he gets nervous because I ask him funny questions about DeWine. And he gets nervous about. I keep asking him like, "Wait, you have to have the governor appear." Well, here's what I'm thinking now. Governor DeWine appeared on a Reds podcast where it was like, and he talked for an hour, and they're like, "Oh, this is just about the Reds. We're not going to talk, politics or anything else like that." We need to have the governor on a show like this where we say, "Look, we're
Right.
not talking Ohio news or
No,
politics.
but we dealt with
Yeah,
Ohio with Pete Rose and Tito Francona.
yeah. What's your
We
take?
had both
Oh, yeah.
both sides covered.
Oh, he'll probably talk some smack about Francona being with the
Right.
Reds now.
Right.
Oh, maybe he'll get in trouble. Maybe he'll lose his votes in Cleveland. Then you never know. Couple of real quick things. I actually schedule my posts, guy, because I do a lot of promotion for places I work, maybe my church, this podcast,
Uh-huh.
viewfromthepew.blogspot.com, where we share some stories. But it's about 12 times a day, which is probably a little excessive. Donald Trump is averaging more than 24 true social posts a day.
Wow.
I don't know
So
if I could
you're
post
running
24 times.
behind Trump, but that's still a good rate there.
And
24, huh? That's one an hour if he doesn't
well,
sleep.
yeah, and generally speaking, my posts are like, "Hey, check out this post," or "Check out my podcast link." I mean, a lot of times she's more ranting and raving, but man, 24 posts—that's pretty prolific.
Wow, yeah, that is. And he understands now that this social media, these apps are the place to really reach people one on one
Well, and I think too, and
and be unfiltered,
yeah,
without any moderator talking over them or asking pointed questions or pushing buttons.
well, you've got 4 minutes left. I could
Yes.
get into a 40-hour discussion
We'll,
about
we'll
this,
have
but
to continue this. Maybe
yeah.
next week we'll be doing it on vacation. So I'll be at a vacation spot. I'm going to go
Oh,
to Nashville, but I think by next Friday we'll be back in
okay.
somewhere in Ohio. So
So,
yeah, we'll do it on vacation with me on vacation and talking about whatever happens in the next week.
oh yeah, definitely. Well, the 10-second version is there's not really moderation on social media, so you can talk, whatever. And eh,
Right.
again, if it works for you, go for it. If it doesn't, go for it. But it seems like some of Trump's fans on social media likes the more posts. So I guess if it works for him there, they could work for them there. One other thing I was going to mention, kind of story breaking from the Columbus Dispatch earlier. Yeah, Bally's is going to let the deals with the Guardians and
Oh
Reds
yeah.
expire.
Right. And I hear Bally is only going to keep the Atlanta Braves. Of course, that's a major market. So, for whatever reason, they're going to keep the Braves telecast. That means the Reds and the Guardians will be free agencies. Bally's let go of San Diego, and I heard that there's something called San Diego TV now. where subscribers just pay a monthly fee or a yearly fee and then get all the telecasts. So maybe
Well,
that's what's in the offing. Maybe we'll have Ohio Sports TV, a new network.
well, the latest I've heard on that is that
Amazon?
yeah, but I'm guessing that some local firm will have to pick it up. Like
Right.
Amazon's not producing these games, so
Right, and
yeah.
I can't see people, across the world wanting to watch the Cleveland Guardians or the Cincinnati Reds
Well, I think
on a
they're only
regular
going.
basis.
I think they're only going to let you watch it on your. I think there's still like some what do you call it? Law saying that you can only watch the teams in your area.
Right.
So, like, there's been some talk, and I'm not sure if we're all the way there, where they're saying like baseball and some other sports could go to Amazon, but if you're in like Ohio, you can only like if
Get
you're in
the
Northeast
get the
Ohio, you get
Guardians.
the Guardians. Like, you can't sit
Right.
there and say, "Hey, I'm the Padres fan, so I only get
Right.
the
Like,
Padres games."
you in the Columbus area may be in the Reds market, but me up here in Trumbull County, it will be in the Guardians market.
Well, I don't have cable right now, but actually for cable, and I'm thinking back to Bally's or the old Fox Sports model. You were in Central Ohio, you got both actually,
Yeah, you had the best
which
of
is
both
kind of
worlds.
nice. Yeah,
Right.
but who knows what
Just
happened?
like back in the old cable days, you got both the Bengals and Browns on Sunday. Just like I get both up here in Trumbull County, I get the Steelers and Browns on most Sundays.
Yeah, well, up there, KBN, I guess, favors the Browns, where it's more of a
Right.
primary market for the Browns. But
But
if the
most
Browns are
most
playing a different
times
time,
now, because of this early schedule, Browns have been on Fox and the Steelers have been on CBS and or national. Just like this week, the Steelers are on the national game with Dallas
right?
and
And
the
part of it's like Fox will have that game if the Browns are well. What is it? If the Browns are on the road, it's a Fox game generally. Like if the Browns play
Yeah,
NFC.
usually now they've been on the road the last 2 weeks, and Fox has picked it. Or wait, last week they played an NFC team, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean most of the
And
time.
Fox picked it up.
Yeah, well, I think it's well, it's the other way. I think most of the time, if the NFC team plays at Cleveland, typically it's a Fox game.
Fox game, right?
But if AFC,
Giants and Dallas were Fox games when they
yeah,
came to Cleveland.
but if the AFC team goes to the NFC, generally speaking, it's a CBS game.
What am I thinking about? It was on CBS last week because they did play the Raiders in Las Vegas.
But
This week is the Fox game because I don't know why they're going to Washington, an NFC team, but it'll be on Fox for some
but
reason.
but part of the problem with that is I think it's because some of these games are on Amazon and everything. They have to mix it up a little bit. Where
Right.
traditionally, yeah,
Right.
like
Because of the contract,
yeah.
Fox is guaranteed X number of games and CBS is guaranteed X number of games. And if Amazon picks up more NFC games, Fox loses the games. And that's
Yeah, so
probably
that's
what happened.
Yeah, so that's why, like, sometimes you'll see an NFC against NFC game on CBS
Right.
where
There you
it
go.
would be
It
normal.
all comes down to the dollars that these networks are paying, and they're paying the NFL a bundle.
Well, like I said, Mahoney Matters, I'm in touch with the editor, so I'm consulting with him now. You might see my name. Heck, you might even see this podcast come back on
Right.
Mahoney in January. I will tell you the fascinating thing: you still see Guy Vogrin on Mahoney Matters. And Guy is getting paid to write, hey, where can you watch these games each week? And you're like, why are they
Right.
paying him for that?
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
it's
getting
because of
back
Guy.
to my old couch fan column. I used to do that
Yes.
back for the Tribune Chronicle as way back as 1989. If you can believe that. It
Well,
was called a thing
right.
called Sports Weekender. That's how the couch fan column got started.
Well, I was going to mention the reason why they're paying you for where are these games at is because they change every week. I mean, what
Right.
used to be that was always on the same channel. So why would you write that column? Because every week you'd be like, duh, it's on the same channel.
Right. People have
Now
a hard
it's
time finding where it is.
yes,
And for you baseball fans,
yeah,
the
TBS.
Guardians and Tigers are going to be on TBS along with the Yankees Royals. Well, the Fox network will have the NLDS this week coming up.
Well, and if you're like me, I stream my TV. I don't even have
Right. The
cable.
Fox Sports app, and then their TBS has an app. So there you go.
We'll,
You'll be
we'll
covered.
get we'll get this. It's all Max now.
Right.
So
Right. Also,
Max
Max
is
has the games too. I saw.
yes, yeah. So fascinating stuff. All right, well, guys, thanks so much. As
Well, it was
always,
great, Chris. We
I know you're
keep doing
running.
this, and we you just throw out the topics. We'll have great shows.
Fantastic. All right, hang on for a second, guy. For
All
guys, this
right.
is Chris. Thanks for checking us out. Have a great day.
Have a good one.